News 3 WSIL. Here's what's happening right now.
The very first thing that we have to do is grieve together, and we're going to do that before we rebuild together.
Grief and hope after deadly storms tear through our region. This morning, more on the destruction and how you can help with recovery efforts. News 3 This Morning starts right now.
We've got you covered. From WSIL, this is News 3 This Morning.
Well, good morning to you all. It is Monday, December 13th. I'm Evie Allen. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We'll continue our coverage with Mayfield in just a moment, but first let's check in with Storm Track 3 Chief Meteorologist Nick Hausen. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Of course, some decent weather yesterday for some of the cleanup efforts, and looks like we at least will see some sunshine linger around through the day today. Checking in this morning, though, it is pretty chilly outside. I know Dave's all bundled up in Mayfield this morning. 30 degrees in Carbondale, 29 in Mount Vernon, 28 in Harrisburg, down to 29 in Paducah, and 30 at this hour in Cape Girardeau. This afternoon, a lot of sunny skies, a lot of blue sky up above. Temperatures into the low to mid 50s today, especially in the parts of southern Illinois. A little warmer into the Missouri Boot Heel, where we could see a few areas approaching the 60-degree mark. Winds out of the south and southwest this afternoon, running about 10 miles per hour. We are tracking even warmer weather for the middle of the week, but there's potentially more wet weather on the horizon. I'll have the latest on that coming up.
Well, communities across our region are searching for those missing amid the rubble from the deadly tornadoes that touched down. But there's a bit of good news from Mayfield. A spokesperson for Mayfield Consumer Products says the loss of life at the candle factory is not as many as first feared. MCP says 90 workers have now been located. When you see the devastation at the factory, it's hard to imagine anyone making it out alive. But last night, a company spokesperson says 8 people died in the collapse and 8 others are still missing. Many apparently walked away after the tornado hit. And because communication is still out in some areas, they were considered missing and presumed trapped inside. Still, there is loss of life throughout the state of Kentucky. The extent has yet to be determined.
We've lost fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, and others. But as the governor so poignantly and powerfully stated, we will get through this. We will grieve together, but we will also recover together.
The Kentucky National Guard has 300 troops on the ground helping with house-by-house searches, debris cleanup, and assisting law enforcement. Well, law enforcement is conducting search, rescue, and recovery efforts with help from regional teams and local volunteers. New teams arrived last night with fresh search dogs. Authorities are conducting welfare checks at homes where a family member is reported missing. Kentucky State Police say if you are not involved in recovery efforts, to please stay away from the damaged areas.
If you are in a safe place and you have the necessary resources to just remain where you're at, we have a lot of traffic congestion, which is impeding our ability to help the people that need it and to get resources where they need to go. So the best thing is really, if you are not actively involved in the rescue and recovery efforts, to please stay away from the active areas of damage.
To request a welfare check, contact His House Ministries in Mayfield. And remember, a curfew remains in effect for the community from dusk until dawn until further notice. Now, we have live coverage from Mayfield this morning. My co-anchor, Dave Davis, is there with an update. Dave?
Good morning, Evie. Well, as you mentioned, there is a dusk to dawn curfew in place down here, so you're not really seeing a lot of traffic other than law enforcement and the National Guard that's out here working, and they've been part of this patrolling, going door to door. Another thing they're trying to do, though, is trying to keep the community, what's left here, they're trying to keep that safe and keep that from, obviously, people up to no good and looters. We've talked to a handful of law enforcement that's been passing through this area, and I'm not sure if it's coming across the mic, but this is pretty loud up here. There's quite a few generators going because this is part of the central race area where the fire department, police department, and all that, this is where they've been working from. And we've moved from where we were at earlier. We've been working in the residential areas all morning long, but right now we are in part of one of the oldest areas of Mayfield. And we've not shown a ton of the damage this morning, but we wanted to show you this right here. This right here is one of the older houses in Mayfield. We had a police officer stop a moment ago, and he told us, he said this house right here, they've been working on it for years. Said he'd been on the force for 14 years, and he's seen it undergo a lot of renovations. He said they just finished up some of them, and he said it's really sad to see it in this shape right now compared to where it was just last week. And we also wanted to show you that this is also partially what first responders are dealing with. I mean, they've not even been able to make it up into this house yet because it is surrounded by broken trees and debris and everything, and it's just extremely difficult to get up into. A little bit earlier this morning, we were able to speak to the Graves County Sheriff, and he said that they're right now working on protocols for how to let people back in to start going through their things and looking to salvage what's left. He said that this morning between 7 and 8 o'clock, they're going to have a meeting with the Kentucky State Police to try to come up with a plan and this protocol for at the city limits for a check-in possibly for allowing people in. Because of that curfew right now, it's only been first responders and media overnight. During the day, it's been sort of open. They've been allowing people to come in. The problem with that is that they come in and they're just looking, they're not really doing anything, and they're cluttering up the street. So first responders, cleanup crews, things like that are having a hard time getting through here. One gentleman earlier said that it took 45 minutes to go 2 miles just to be able to get rid of some debris. So it's extremely cluttered down here, so they're asking people not to come in and look around. The other thing real fast I want to pass along, he updated me on donations. He said all donations now are being collected at the fairgrounds. He said that's just off the interstate off I-69 out here, so there's no need for people to come into the city with their donations. We're going to stay down here and see what else we can find out that's going on this morning. For now, though, we're live in Mayfield. Abby, Nick, back to you guys. Also, another look at some damage around the region.
Thank you for that, Dave. We appreciate it. Make sure you are staying safe. Well, Marshall County is another part of Kentucky experiencing devastating damage. News 3's Brooke Schleier was one of the first journalists to visit that area. Now, she talked to first responders about the destruction there.
This is fire station number 2. It's the command center, and it's about 6 miles away from Cambridge Shores. First responders tell me we are some of the first media crew to get access to that area, and here's more on our experience. Cleanup is beginning for communities around Kentucky Lake after the devastating tornado Friday night. Residents, more than 200 first responders, and National Guard members all using chainsaws to cut up downed tree limbs. And that's just a small portion of the damage. Debris as far as the eye can see. Houses swept away from their foundations, belongings scattered in yards, and boats flipped on their sides. Rescue operations are still underway. I'm told by first responders that they found 2 people cradled inside this bathtub who were later airlifted to a regional hospital. Local first responders are having their own challenges. Fire station number 1 had significant damage, and crews are trying to salvage what equipment they can. Brittany Hargrove, the public information officer for Marshall County, says residents have pulled together before, and they're doing it again.
We saw it after the tragedy at the high school. We saw it during the ice storm, and this is just going to be another chance for our community to come together, hug each other, and love on each other, and be ready to come out stronger than ever.
As they clean up and rebuild, local volunteers at the command center are doing just that, coming together to make sure first responders from near and far are well fed for their long shifts ahead. Now, donations are still needed, like food, water, lumber, and construction materials. Those interested in helping out can drop off those items at the Central Elementary School. For now, reporting in Marshall County, Brooke Schleier, News 3.
Moving over to Illinois, crews in Edwardsville continue to sift through rubble at the Amazon warehouse. 45 employees made it out of the building, with 1 being airlifted to a hospital. The company hasn't revealed how many were in the building when the tornado hit, but says there are no missing employees at this time. The 6 victims range from ages 28 to 62. Amazon spokesperson Kelly Nadel says Amazon will do what it can to assist the victims' families and the surviving workers.
We're taking care of our own employees, making sure they have everything they need, and we're reaching out to the families of those we lost in this tragic event, because we want to understand what they need as well so we can take care of them.
Officials say an EF3 tornado hit that warehouse. Crews continued to clear debris from the site. Missouri Governor Mike Parson toured storm damage in the Show Me State. Alex Fees was with state officials as they surveyed the damage yesterday.
St. Charles County residents are hoping this iconic image of the holiday season tornadoes of 2021 is replaced by this one. Community members turning out to help clean up the damage. Governor Mike Parson toured the path of the tornado Sunday morning and met with people affected. He is marshaling state and federal resources.
Conversation with the president yesterday between me and the other three governors was a positive conversation. He was saying whatever he needed to do, whatever they could do from that level to help all these states, that they were willing to do, and whatever resources they had, don't be afraid to ask for them.
In December, from Amazon facility, I think in Illinois, Kentucky, it's just, the prayers with everybody who's been impacted by this.
The stately 130-year-old Callaway Crest Farms horse barn was destroyed Friday night, while 5 horses were in their stalls. 2 of them died.
I mean, we had so many people out here trying to help us get them untrapped, and we were able to get 3 out alive.
American Red Cross officials are on the ground working in St. Charles County in the short term and the long term.
Our teams have been in response both in southeast Missouri as well as here in St. Louis, in Edwardsville, and in southeast Arkansas.
This is my sister.
Connie Kisker's family is counting their blessings this holiday season. Her sister and brother-in-law walked away from this.
Got back down to the steps, got to the bottom of the steps, and her house collapsed on her. And then the windows had blown out in the basement there, and debris flying everywhere. They were just trying to take cover.
Well, the tornado claimed at least 1 life in St. Charles County. For all of our ongoing coverage, including how to donate and how to get involved in emergency efforts, you can head to our website at WSILTV.com.
And this was quite a tornado outbreak. Of course, we were impacted in our region, the Missouri Boot Heel, Northwest Tennessee, much of western Kentucky as well. You saw some of those images coming out of the St. Louis metro area, and even a tornado into parts of northwest Indiana and parts of northwest Ohio. Lots and lots of tornado reports. We don't exactly have confirmation on how many tornadoes were on the ground, and that's because, well, the National Weather Service is still conducting surveys that will continue through the day today. They have already begun out of the National Weather Service office in Paducah from about Casey, Kentucky to Mayfield. They'll continue surveying today from Mayfield closer to the Cambridge Shores area and even farther to the east in Princeton, Kentucky. Those survey results, though, could take up to a week to get. We are tracking some more wet weather potentially in our forecast towards the later part of the week as well. We'll have the details on that coming up.